Hi guys, it's Jeanine. Welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I am going to explain to you in the simplest way possible what is a calorie deficit, how do you get in one, and how do you just simplify your weight loss week over week. So you're going to want to tune in, grab a pen, grab a paper, grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's get into it. Now, if you are new here, my name is Jeanine. I am a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach, 47 years old. I'm a mother of 2 adult kids. I myself am currently in menopause, and on this channel, you get nutrition, fitness, menopause, my podcast, everything in between. So if you're interested in that stuff and you can relate to my content in any way, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to be notified. Now let's get into it. First and foremost, I know you guys hear this a lot, this word, which is probably what brought you to this video, is calorie deficit. A calorie deficit is required in order for your body to shed body fat. The problem is nobody ever really explains what a calorie deficit is, and that's what we're going to do in today's video. But I'm also here to tell you, if menopause brought you here to my channel, a calorie deficit still works in menopause. Every time I put myself back into a calorie deficit, the body fat comes off. It works every time. It worked in perimenopause. It worked in menopause. It worked in my 20s. It's working in my 40s. It works. So as long as you understand how to get in one, you can shed body fat no matter what age you are, no matter if you're in menopause, even if you have some health conditions, you can still shed body fat. So let's go into what exactly is a calorie deficit. So a calorie deficit simply means that the total calories you consumed is less than the total calories that your body burned. The sum of that equation is a deficit, as long as the calories you ate is less than the calories you burned. Now, on the flip side, if the calories you ate are more than the calories you burned, that would equal a surplus, and you would store those calories as body fat. If the calories you consume are equal to the calories you burn, that's maintenance, and you would maintain your current level of body fat. So the goal for weight loss is you want the sum of that equation to be a negative, right? You want it to be a deficit, so that your body will use stored body fat to make up the difference. And that, what many people don't realize is body fat is simply stored calories that we didn't use. So at one point in time, we were in a surplus and we stored calories that we didn't need. That is stored as body fat. So when your body needs extra calories because you're not consuming enough, it will use those stored calories as energy to get by, to function, to, move, to do whatever, to live. So every pound of stored body fat on your body equals 3,500 calories. So in order to lose 1 pound of body fat, you have to establish a deficit of 3,500 calories. So 3,500 calories it's a lot. And people underestimate, how challenging that can be when they say, oh, I only lost a pound on the scale. That's a big deal. If you lose a pound of body fat, you've established a deficit of 3,500 calories. So to keep doing that, you'd have to keep establishing that deficit. So now, important to point out, when you get your macro assessment or when you figure out what that number is, that is because that number was determined based on all of your statistics, right? What your projected burn is based on your activity, how much movement you do per day, what your current weight is, your age, your gender, all of those things are factored in. So once you have that number, it's all encompassing. So it factors in how much. That number is based on what your projected daily burn is, and that puts you into a deficit of about 500 calories per day, which would equal 1 pound over the course of a week. So we should also probably talk about total daily energy expenditure because it is part of the calorie deficit calculation. So if calories we consume is from food, calories we burn is what is known as our total daily energy expenditure. And that number is made up of multiple things. A lot of times people think of calories we burn as only calories that we burn during exercise, but that is only a tiny portion of our total daily energy expenditure. If you take a look at the screen, your BMR, it actually makes up the biggest piece of the pie. And your BMR is what your body burns automatically in order to function. So that is if you laid in bed completely still all day for 24 hours, you would still burn everything that is blue on that pie because your body is burning calories just to run your machine. You know, your body is your machine and it takes energy in order to run it. And that is BMR. And as you can see, that makes up the biggest chunk of that pie. Things that affect your BMR are your current body composition, so how much muscle you have, your size, your height, your gender, all of that stuff will determine what your BMR is. So for somebody who is larger and has a larger, think of BMR as like a vehicle. A large vehicle would be a large amount of calories, a small vehicle would be a small amount of calories, but it is still makes up the most out of your total daily energy expenditure. Now, some of these smaller pieces of the pie are TEF, which TEF is thermic effect of food, and this is the energy that it takes us to digest food. Obviously, that makes up a small portion of the pie, but the higher the protein in your diet, the bigger the burn is from TEF. EAT is exercise. That's actual deliberate exercise that you do every day. So if you are sedentary and you do not do any deliberate exercise, you will not have any burn from that piece of the pie. So that will, take your total daily energy expenditure down. The key is you want that TDEE number to be as high as possible because the higher that is, the more you can consume and still be in the deficit. And then lastly, it's your neat calories. And oftentimes we don't give enough value on these calories, but this is, as you notice, a bigger piece of the pie than the exercise calories because that your activities that you do outside of exercise add up to more than what your daily 1 hour of exercise would be. So this is walking, running errands, what I'm doing right now, talking with my hands. This is increasing my neat calories. This is where we have the most control actually in order if we want to try to burn more calories is increase neat. And you do that really by setting a daily step goal and just moving your body in general more throughout the day. So all of those things together, those 4 things make up what we call total daily energy expenditure. So the calories we consume need to be less than our total daily energy expenditure in order to establish a calorie deficit. Now, if you're my age or older, then you'll definitely get this. If you're younger, it might go over your head. But I'm 47, and in my day, when you got your bank account, you actually kept a manual check register to keep track of your money, to make sure that you didn't overdraw your account or use up all your money. So I like to think of establishing a deficit in the terms of money. Now, in order to do this exercise or to understand this process, you really need to know what your calorie target is. You could either get an assessment done. I am a macro coach. I can do an assessment for you, but I also have a simple way that you can figure it out yourself by going to this video. So I will link the video up here. If you go over to that video, it is there that you can determine what your calorie target is. Once you know your daily calorie target, so you got an assessment or you figured it out, you know how many calories that you are trying to consume per day in order to lose weight, now we can move forward with the exercise. So I like to think of establishing a deficit over the course of a week. So I do this in the course of a week over week and not day over day. And this is going to give you more flexibility and freedom, and I'll explain that in a minute. But once you know what your daily calorie target is, you're going to multiply that by 7. So for the purposes of this exercise, I am going to, let's assume that your daily calorie target is 1,500 calories a day. So you're going to take 1,500 calories and you're going to multiply that by 7. Okay, so you've got your calorie target. Ideally, this is the amount of calories that you need to consume every day in order to lose about 1 pound of body fat per week. So if you multiply this number times 7, that is your total weekly calorie allotment. And I like to think of that as money. Think of that as like the cash that you're starting with at the beginning of the week in your bank account. Each day that you eat would debit from this bank account. So everything that you consume, everything, every calorie you eat withdraws from this bank account. And the reason why I like to do this is because it gives you more boundaries on your eating. For example, it also gives you maybe some freedom to have a few extra calories, say on the weekend. So I like to set my weekly calorie intake goal on a Sunday. And I start my week on a Sunday. And each day, and my goal is to consume 1,500 calories or less each day leading up to my Saturday. So let's just say I actually aim for 1,400 calories per day because I like to eat a little more on Saturday. So if I subtract each day that I hit that target, 1,400 calories, at the end of the week, I actually have more than 1,500 calories that I can consume on Saturday. It actually leaves me with 2,000 calories. So if you know your goal is the 10,500 for the week, just go ahead and each day subtract what the total calories you actually ate that day from your total. And ideally, you will not over withdraw by the end of the week, because if you over withdraw, you are dipping in to that calorie deficit. But even if you do over withdraw, this number assumes that it will put you in a deficit of about 3,500 calories. Actually, skip a snack maybe on Thursday and Friday and add those extra calories to Saturday so that I can have a little bit of a higher calorie day. But, whatever works for you, whatever, I like to call this like flexible calorie tracking. You can transfer calories from one day to the next. But the most important thing is over the course of the week that you stay within that allotment if your goal is to lose that 1 pound of body fat. Now, if you consumed 3,500 over that 10,500 and you kind of just had a crazy weekend, let's just say, and you consumed 14,000 calories, then you will maintain that week. Anything in excess of the 14,000 calories and you will store body fat that week. So that is kind of how I like to think about it. I like to think about it like money in my bank account. This is what I have to work with for the week. How am I going to budget these calories throughout the week? Do I want to spread it out evenly, or do I want to eat less some days, more other days? That is really up to you. The key is just in the math. The math works. The numbers work. So long as that calorie target that you're working with is the right number for you based on your activity and your total daily energy expenditure and your age, gender, and all of those things that we use in order to figure out what that target is. Now, if you need help with getting that number, I can help you. I can do a macro assessment for you. I will link that up here. I will also link it down in the description box. Hopefully this makes sense. And remember, you guys, if you get yourself into a calorie deficit, you will lose body fat. That is the law of thermodynamics. It has been proven time and time again. If you're not losing body fat, it means that for whatever reason, you have not been able to establish that deficit. There could be lots of different reasons why. Remember that pie chart we talked about a little bit earlier regarding your total daily energy expenditure? There could be a number in there that's skewed. Perhaps your BMR is affected because you have some thyroid issues, so your thyroid is functioning lower than it is expected when we're doing that calculation. Perhaps some menopause symptoms are affecting your NEAT calories because you're not sleeping as well, so you are not moving as much. Perhaps you're not exercising as often, and usually the answer lies in that total daily energy expenditure. That is what I help with. So if you do need my help, like I said, I can help you with a macro assessment. Hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully it gives you more clarity on how this actually works. And I look forward to seeing you guys on my next video.
You say you don't want to get in trouble, that you don't